What's up, Mob Crew? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me get rid of this real quick. There we go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover murder, mystery to the missing. Today we're going to be covering the Stephen Smith case, and it's Monday, so we have a special guest, co-host, Steve from True Crime Web, who I will introduce here in just a minute. Good to see everyone. Thank you to the mods who do amazing work in here. Give me just a second to get set up here. Here we go. Okay, so today's missing. We have Haley Cummings. We featured her a couple of times. She has brown hair, brown eyes, 5'5" tall, 145 pounds. She was reported missing on August 9th of last year. It is believed that she left the state of Indiana with an adult male that she met online. She could be in the Cartersville, Georgia area. So if anybody has any information, please contact local law enforcement, 1-800-LOST or 911. And then we've got one more. And this one's Aiden Clune, who went missing last year just before Dylan Rounds. Aiden Clune, he went missing in April on the 27th out of Wells, Nevada. I think approximately 50 miles south of Wells. And there is also a reward for him. Brown hair, brown eyes. I believe 19 when he went missing. What is interesting is his mother, Amy, got in contact with me. I've kind of spoken to her before, and they are actually conducting a search or getting ready to in the first part of May. And so anyway, she wants to kind of get his name out there going again and get a lot of people, kind of get her son in the limelight again. And so we're going to probably hopefully have her on maybe this week or next week talking about his case. And of course, we'd love to go out there and help. I might, it just depends, because we have a trip going out to Texas, and I don't know if that's going to be the same weekend or not. So, but if it's not, I may actually join the search with them. So, but excited to have her on and to tell her story and get his name back out there. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and introduce the co-host. Where is he? Hey, buddy. Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Doing great. How are you, sir?
Good. It's always an honor to have you on. For those that are kind of new to the channel or yours, you want to give a little background about yourself?
Oh, sure. I'm retired law enforcement, had a 20-year career. Started off in the jail, worked the road, went into investigations, had all different types of training in law enforcement, from SWAT to becoming a state-certified crime scene technician. And I've investigated all different types of crimes, from minor crimes up to homicides. And now I've entered the true crime world.
And you've been doing an amazing job with, with the Murdaugh case, all these reenactments. They've done quite well. Everybody, I, including myself, it's amazing what you have done. And just looking into the Stephen Smith case, you've already, like I said, being in law enforcement, crime scene, analysis, you've look at things differently than the average person. And already I just showed you some things just before the show, and you're like, oh, look at this, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But just the position of the car and stuff like that, it's things like that. Just it's that you're pointing out, it's pretty cool to see. So
yeah, I've been doing some research on the car. It's bothered me for a while now. I've been doing some research on it, and looks like we've got some testing to do for that, and I look forward to it.
Okay, just checking the chat. So yeah, we've got hopefully I think first part of May we've got a trip in Texas, and then we're also looking at some secondaries maybe closer to me in Idaho, or we're kind of exploring the options. And
yeah, there's a lot more as far as some of the missing, although we have a lot of missing and crimes here.
Oh yeah.
Also, but I mean, it's everywhere. Sadly, it's
Yeah.
everywhere. And but we'll go wherever the families want us to go and do what we've got to do.
Greetings from Ireland. That's so cool, Woodburn. It's amazing that this channel has gotten that big, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time. So we'll quickly go over the timeline. I'm going to go ahead and play apart from the Court TV. Just kind of, there's not like a really full detailed timeline, because obviously we don't really know, because he the timelines, there's not a real accurate timeline, because he was kind of just out after school. And so we'll go ahead and play what it's an interview with his mother. It kind of gives the detail of what happened that day from what she knows, and then we'll kind of break down the crime scene and we'll go from there. So let me, that was one video I didn't get ready. So let me get rid of, let's see. Okay, my apologies. I had to make sure. Just that one. All right. And there we go. Is that the right one? Yeah. Perfect.
The Murdaugh name.
Okay, let me turn that. Let me know how the volume is on that, Steve.
Is no longer a symbol of prestige.
Is that okay? Not too loud?
Sounds good. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Let me jump to 5 minutes and just play just a little clip from the mother. She just kind of gives a little detail about the day in question.
She told us.
Somebody was there. It was more than one person that done this. And somebody knows. And they set him up on that road to make it look like a hit and run.
What do you think happened to him?
I think he was beaten to death.
As far as that day, tell me about what Stephen was doing. He was coming home from work.
No, he was in school. He had morning classes that day. And then he came home, took a shower, and, left. Nobody knows where he went, because he was kind of private. Yeah, so we didn't know where he went. He had a cell phone in his pocket. It wouldn't be the first time he had to call for somebody, And, but the car was locked. He had his phone and his key in his pocket, but then he left his wallet. So if you're going to go get gas, why would you leave your wallet in the car? And he wouldn't walk, no, he would have walked through the woods. He would not have been in that road.
And why did they reopen the investigation?
It was something they found while they were investigating Paul and Maggie's death, was all I was told. But what it is, I do not know. At first, I thought maybe it was something on his phone, Paul's phone. And then rumor was going out, they found something on his computer, and then they found a baseball bat. But I have no clue what it is, but I know I'm going to know soon. Well, it was.
So, and we got to be careful. We don't know if it's the Murdaughs are directly related. I know Buster's a name that's been thrown around, and until they actually name a person of interest or a suspect, I would ask people to be kind of respectful in the comments and who you throw accusations. I know the Murdaugh family is definitely been mentioned a lot in this, and I wouldn't be surprised in any fashion that there's some kind of, at the very least, indirect connection. Obviously, you have Randy Murdaugh, who shows up because they're lawyers. They're thinking this is a hit and run, so they're obviously connected to this case because they were going to try to represent her. So there is, a connection no matter what. But was it Buster, or is there more to this? And when you look at the case notes, there's quite a bit that actually isn't. I'm sure it's talked about on some channels, but at least not on the major channels that I've seen. And that's what we'll kind of get into as well. But we'll kind of look at the evidence, and let me know anything you want to talk about as far as the timeline that stuck out to you in that interview, Steve.
Not yet, but I mean,
Okay.
if he's talking previous of, and then he did take a shower previous. I don't know if his normal and that's the thing about his victimology that we don't know. We know about his lifestyle that he had, and which is fine, but he did take a shower. Was this representative that he is going to meet someone, such as going out for dinner or a boyfriend or acquaintance, and
Right.
late in the afternoon, I'm sure he whatever his cleaning habits are and his dating habits are, the victimology will reveal that and see what that meant for him to be taking a shower. I may just be part of his normal activities, but until you have that victimology, you wouldn't know how important that shower would be, and possibly tell you from his social media presence and his digital footprint, if they have that, where he was going and what possibly occurred later on.
Right. So now, from what I understand, they found him on July 8th, but I guess this would have happened on July 7th, technically, right?
That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah. So let me remove this here, and we may come back to that. And I see some of you guys in there saying that you guys got some hoodies and stuff. I appreciate you. Anybody that supports this channel donates, and that's so amazing. That helps us go out and help these cold cases. So thank you guys so much. And just everybody that's here taking the time out of their day. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up, and I think we kind of know. I forgot about StreamYard. Now I figured it out. It's not YouTube, it's StreamYard. I don't know. I've got to talk to them because this started happening one time, and it's continued since. I've literally rebooted my computer, cleaned it out because I thought maybe it was on my side. But anyway, you see a bunch of mouses. My apologies. So they found his body on July 8th, but technically, I guess this happened, I'm assuming, on July 7th. He was 19 years old, nursing student from Hampton, South Carolina. Somebody was driving by, found him in the middle of the road on early July 8th. And he was laying in the middle of the road in a dark country road. And we'll look at that. His car was approximately 3 miles from where his body was found. Supposedly it ran out of gas. I don't know if that's ever been verified. They said it wouldn't start. But there's some weird things about the car that looks like it could have been staged. Now that you pointed out these other things, I really think it's a good possibility. He did have some deep gashes on his forehead, and basically looked like some blunt force trauma maybe as well. And then they initially thought he had been shot because there was kind of a hole. And you have some ideas about that. And but anyway, in the early days of this, I guess they ruled it as a hit and run, but it just didn't seem right to the mother, and especially I think to a lot of law enforcement, because usually you wouldn't find a body in the middle of the road. Usually it'd be knocked off to the side, and usually they'd be missing their shoes, and he was wearing loose fitting shoes, so he should have been completely knocked out of his shoes. So here we kind of look at where they found his body and where his car was at, where his home was at. So we have his car here. Oh, I can't believe I'm just doing that. And then we have, if you can keep up with me, the red. So I guess the red is where his, of course I should have done the red on the red, yellow on the yellow. But this is where they found his car. Body would be found here. You've got and then you have his address, which is over here. But I think his sister was closer by, and they were wondering, well, if he ran out of gas, why didn't he just call? Because he had a cell phone and keys on. So it just didn't really make sense. Let me move on here. So he had on him, shirt, cargo shorts, socks, shoes. Then he had his cell phone with him, an iPhone. I'm not sure what version or generation. And then he had his keys. And then, but his wallet was left in the car, which is kind of interesting. And so this is where he was found, body in the middle of the road. And so there's a picture of that. Okay, so we went over that. Okay, so we'll talk about the car here in just a second. But of course, it'd be labeled a hit and run, and then that was 2015, and then we skip years later to June 2021 when the double homicide of Paul and Maggie, and for some reason, possible evidence that was either found in the investigation of that case had them reopen this case, and now it has been ruled a homicide, and now they are looking into exhuming his body, which is something we'll have to talk about as well. But so I guess we'll start with the car. So looking at it, Steve, let me know. Just go ahead and.
Okay. I've have assisted thousands of people in my career that in some shape, form, or other, that through traffic stops or people that were broke down on the side of the road or vehicles that were pulled over in my career. And the part where this vehicle is, you can see obviously that it's more than just off the white line. There is 2 to 3 car whips off of the where one would just normally brake or pull over for a traffic stop or pull over if they're broke down. And then looking at the car some more, there was some interesting things about when you read and they say, well, he ran out of gas. Well, running out of gas and pushing your car over to a wide spot in the road is absolutely something you would do. But looking at the positioning of the steering wheel and looking at where the tires are towed out to the left, and also where the steering wheel supports the evidence about being turned to the left, that if it was out of gas at the time and the motor's not running, why would you be turning your steering wheel to the right to get off of the road? But once it's stopped and off the road, you have to go in there and forcibly cut that steering wheel to the left with a motor that's not under power. And that does not make sense. And when it doesn't make sense, we have to figure out what that means. And is it possible that this vehicle is staged and it was coming from the other direction, and someone from the normal path of travel on the road cuts it hard left, does a U-turn, and when the research I did on this specific vehicle, it has a 16-foot turning radius. And that's really why I want to go over there and get a vehicle with a similar footprint and wheelbase, and that has a 16-foot turning radius, and do that maneuver and see where it positions me. And but it's things like that we look at. Now, as far as being out of gas, I don't have access to the mechanics reports. Was it actually out of gas, or was there something done to under the hood to simulate that effect? There's a lot of things you can do. You can, pull a fuse on a fuel pump and it's not going to crank because if it's not getting fuel, the injectors are out of gas. It doesn't matter how much gas is in your tank. And so I don't know if there's any staging to that, and I don't have that mechanics report. But that's things that should have been done. And did law enforcement look at this crime scene or this vehicle parking as a potential crime scene? And would they have done those tests and done those verifications? And I just don't have that information.
Great analysis, and I'll break it down a little bit. Let me grab these real quick though before they go away. Thank you so much. It's me, Michelle, one of my first Patreon supporters, and now a member as well on YouTube. Thank you so much for the support, and Princess Skywalker as well. Thank you guys so much. We've got some huge plans to put all this, all this support that you guys give us into some good deeds. We're so excited. So thank you guys so much. So what Steve was telling me before the show, and I got some pictures of it inside the car, which I hadn't seen before. As you guys can see, the steering wheel is cranked, what looks to me like it's cranked to the left, as if it was almost like U-turned or something.
Yeah.
And
when you see the tires, and there's some pictures I have that have the tires towed out to the left. I
Oh,
don't
yep.
know if you'll be able to see it in this, but it is
I got it.
turned to the left, cranked to the left, that the front of the tire is towed out, and as if in a left turn. Whereas if you broke down in your normal travel lane, you're just simply going to turn to the right and push the
Right.
car off and leave it. And that is not the case with this.
Yeah, and you
You can actually see that the front of the tire is more in the sunshine versus the shadows at the rear of the tire. But there's
yeah.
better shots of it also. It's even better than that one.
Oh, I got to talk to StreamYard about what the heck's going on with this mouse. It's so, but what Steve is saying, and I've only ran out of gas maybe once or twice in my life, but there's something you said that was interesting is yes, your steering wheel will lock up because basically your engine is basically, I don't know, seized is the right word. I'm not a mechanic, but basically, yeah, your steering wheel will start to lock up because your engine pretty much cuts and you're just putting.
Yeah.
And so
you can
this
turn the
car's-
wheels, but it takes a great deal of
yeah.
determination. I mean, it's not like it's locked, but you're fighting the
Yes.
the belts that's connected to the steering. And
If anybody's,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if anybody's, had their car in neutral and had to get towed, and you had your buddy tow you, and you're steering, and you're sitting there, you got to do a turn, and because I actually had to do that with my Nissan when it broke down, and we had to just go tow it to a yard, and I was sitting there trying to turn that dang thing, and it's a
I mean, yeah,
beast.
you can go out there. Anyone can go into the garage or the driveway and just leave the motor off, turn your ignition on, and turn the steering wheel, and you'll see exactly what it takes to turn that steering wheel, and that you'll be able to appreciate what we're discussing.
Yeah, and then we've got to talk about the gas cap. I mean, so I'm assuming this is how it was found. It looks like they opened it up, but this is how they found it. Now, when you run out of gas, I don't think he was checking the tank to make sure if there's gas in there. That doesn't make sense. That just looks like staged. I mean, I'd understand if there was a gas can nearby or something, and he had his wallet. This is too many steps ahead. Why are you taking your gas cap out?
Well, there's one thing that didn't occur that could have occurred that they had possibly thought about. If this is staged and it's an offender, did they take off that gas cap? And there's on almost all the roadside arsons I've ever looked at, the gas cap comes off, and that's where they insert the paper and start the fire. And then the car is burned. That's on. Was that something that, if this is staged, that they were possibly contemplating about creating an arson fire and destroying the vehicle? It didn't occur, but that's something that I would look at. That's another possibility that at some point, if this was committed by, and it takes more than one offender if you have the staging of this vehicle. If this vehicle was placed here by anyone other than Stephen, then of course we have to have more than one offender. We've got the vehicle that has to be here. His body is located 3 miles away with a key in his pocket that fits his car. And so, but like I said, almost all vehicles, whenever we investigate vehicle arson, the gas caps are off, and people insert paper and start the fire there. And once it ignites, bad things happen to the vehicle and all evidence inside.
Now, that's a good question, Hillhouse. But something I've learned, because when you watch like The Walking Dead or any of these apocalyptic, they're siphoning gas from all these cars, and they got this little tube. Something I've learned throughout the last few years. Like I said, I'm no mechanic, but I know a lot of newer cars have like a function that won't allow you to do that. From what I understand, or it's a lot harder than it used to be as far as siphoning gas. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic, but I spoke to one a couple of years ago when he was luckily able to do it with an older model. But he said a lot of newer models have some kind of system where you can't really siphon gas like you used to. That's what I've been told. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic, but that's what I heard. And this 2015, so I'm assuming it might be harder. But let me know in the chat if anybody's a mechanic. Like I said, I said there was something in there that's that makes it so you can't do what they used to do back in the day. It's just kind of a anti-siphoning thing, but I could be wrong. But yeah, just really weird that would be opened up like that. And I mean, it's not like the car had been out there for very long. I mean, maybe a half a day, quarter of a day. Obviously it was towards evening, so this car, I mean, it is yellow, so it would kind of stick out a little bit, but it is kind of a rural area. So let's see. Okay, so we looked at inside the car. Let's before we move on, because obviously we kind of talked about, we'll talk about the blue paint chips here in a bit, but since we're on the car, was there anything else that kind of got your attention with the inside of the
everything in
car?
the car is indicated that it's not someone that he was given a ride to, or anyone else was in the vehicle.
Right,
unless the movement of materials and things that are sitting in the seat, unless this is at some stage of a search of the vehicle and law enforcement took pictures after the search. I don't know. I don't have that information, but is this as they found it? Hopefully this is as found and not after some partial search, because it is cluttered. The floorboard on the front passenger side has a lot of debris in the floorboard. You have this material, plus his billfold is over there next to the seat on the passenger side there at the door. And then the back seat, same way. There's a lot of debris of just trash. And is this normal how he keeps his vehicle? And of course the parents would know that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kathy. Staging was to make it obvious to a passerby that the car was out of gas and the driver had went for gas. And so it was, yeah, that kind of makes sense. I like that. Bungee cord seems kind of, some cars do. Okay, I think you know what I'm talking about, bungee cord. Because yeah, I spoke with the diesel mechanic years ago, because he was actually doing that in front of me, and he was like, "Well, I hope this tank doesn't have this mechanism in it." And I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" And he's like, "Well, it makes it so you can't siphon it or put in a tube like you'd normally do." Okay, so just getting caught up on comments. Mods, just let me know. I think usually with StreamYard, the chat seems okay. If the chat speed gets out of hand, let me know. We got over 500 people in here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're talking about the Stephen Smith case. Right now, we're just kind of going over the car and the possible staging. Steve's making some great points about how the car, and let's just look at the road real quick before we move on. But the car is definitely well over off to the side of the road, and almost like it was either turned around, or is that what you think? Maybe somebody made a U-turn on that?
Yes, that's what it looks similar to something that could have occurred from a U-turn, or if it was some type of scheduled meeting, did he actually park it there? And there was someone else already sitting there on the paved area, and he just pulled up alongside of them on the offside. So, and like I said, there's a lot of things that we look at in law enforcement of why is it so odd for this vehicle to be that far off the road, being equal distance off of that. If there was someone else already parked there and he pulled over to the right hand side off of them. But normally when you are meeting somebody, you'll either, in the law enforcement world, we either pull, of course we pull behind them, or we'll pass by and pull right in front. Very rarely do we go off-roading that far to go around a vehicle on the away from the traffic lane.
Yeah. History says, looks like a U-turn pull in. Yeah, it does. I didn't even think about that until Steven mentioned that. And then we didn't even look, at least I didn't look at the steering wheel. And then when you see the steering wheel cranked like that, I mean, that is obviously cranked. I mean, that is, in my opinion, that doesn't make sense. If somebody's pulled to the right, you would expect the steering wheel, if anything, to be turned the other way.
Yeah, you would think.
Well, I guess if you were straightening it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You would think the front wheels will either be towed out slightly right or dead straight that once we get the angle that we're going to get off of the traffic, out of the traffic lane, that you wouldn't get in and sit down, because you would basically have to be sitting in this vehicle to crank it. Standing outside trying to crank that wheel left one-handed is extremely difficult, trying to tow it back to the left if it's not running. Of course, if it's running, it's no problem, but
Sure.
when it's not running is the difficult part.
Right. Yeah, and now really thinking about that, because if you pulled off to the right, so you'd be turning the wheel right a little bit to, okay, I'm running out of gas, and now the engine seizes, and now that steering wheel is starting to not lock up, but you don't have your power steering, I guess, and now to be able to wedge that thing all the way left, not impossible, but why
do that?
Sense. Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I want to go over there, is to see what the grade on the roadway is. Is it uphill or downhill, or is it a slight, almost level grade, but still there's generally grade, and that would establish how easy it would be to push that vehicle to that position.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks pretty straight, but obviously, looking just
yes,
at, you may not know, but there could definitely be some kind of grade. I don't know. That's a good. It was assumed it was out of gas. I know it didn't start. I know they said that when they tried to start it, it wouldn't start. You would think, when they turn the key, they would see, okay, it's empty, so it must have been out of gas. So that's it. Yeah. And
plus, it didn't start the day before. The sister in one of the interviews made statement that she had to go and get it cranked for him and assist him. I think it was the previous morning or 2 mornings before, but she had interaction with him to help get his car started then. And so he had some issue with the car at that point, and he was at a gas station. And so if he was low on gas, he bought gas, and what was his, and that's something else about victimology that we don't know, is what was his normal, how much gas he kept in his vehicle. Mrs. Steve, she gets nervous at a half a tank. And so there's no vehicle she'll get in. If it's a half a tank, she's got to go get gas. Myself, I don't care. I'll drive them until the a gas light comes on.
Yeah, braver than I am. When you run out of gas, then you maybe she's had that experience. When you run out of gas, especially on the freeway, I've only ran out of gas twice. Knock on wood. And the one time on the freeway, that was scary. And I'm like, I am never doing that again. So the tires, it's kind of hard to see, but you can actually tell it's not the best. If you look back a little bit, you can actually see the tires. It's not like cranked, but it is turned to the left. You can
there's better pictures that I have.
This one's not the this one. But you definitely can kind of see the wheel is turned out. And this one's not a good one. So, okay, let's move on to the blue paint chips here. Let me get this settled up real quick here. Okay, let's see, where are we at? Okay, so thanks to Dilly Pickles, who is a member on my channel and yours, came around on the Murdaugh case, and it's been really amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been sending us case files and stuff for the Murdaugh and this case as well. And you sent it after you got it. You sent it to me, and going through it, something stuck out to me, and that was, there's not much evidence obviously at the scene, but there was something found on his clothing. Could be nothing, but it was enough for them to note it, and that is 10 1mm blue paint chips that were found. We don't know exactly where on his clothing, but found on his clothing. And were these foreign to Smith, as in, did this come after, him getting out of the car? This wasn't something like blue paint that he had on earlier from painting something 2 days ago or 2 days before. Was this something that came after?
Yeah.
And if it is, then what did that paint come from? Was it?
And And
Yeah, go
law
ahead.
enforcement would have asked the family, what do y'all have
Sure.
that he would have worked on, been around, or, could have interacted with that's blue, and, and checked out that possibility.
The anti-siphon valves date back to year 2004. Okay, thank you, Phoebe. Yeah, and I remember the mechanic saying something about that they can't really do that like you see in the movies. Good to see you, Josh the Bosch. But yeah, so this paint, it's interesting that they kind of give an idea of what the color is. We don't know exactly, but they say that this color, because they mention it could come from industrial tool, industrial garbage can, a signpost, or a Toyota, which happened to use that particular color between 1982 and 88. I think it's something like that, which is interesting. So I think we could kind of, I'd have to look up those years. I haven't had a chance to, but I'm assuming we could look up, maybe narrow down that color, if you know what I mean, Steve, and kind of get an idea.
Yeah, we're going to do some testing about some of this stuff and address these issues.
Yeah. So Lisa Clark, blue paint chips. Yeah. So something, this is just an example. This is not evidence. So, when you, let's say if you like paint and you get dry paint, you can scratch it off. That's blue paint chips. Kind of like, if you like a wall, these are paint chips that would come off. They found 10 1 millimeter, which is really tiny. But it could have been something that transferred from one item to another. I've got some examples: garbage can, a truck, a baseball bat. I know that's a big one. But yeah, I mean, while we're on this subject, you were thinking about doing some experiments. Just what were you thinking about as far as?
Well, of course, if I can find a baseball bat that's painted in any color, of course, it doesn't matter. Then, of course, you go and you beat it on some type of hard surface and see what type of flaking occurs with the bat.
Sure.
And so that'll give us some type of a baseline to look at. And then also taking and maybe spray painting some metal and striking it with both ball bats, pipes, hammers, and then also going and see what the transfer on clothing is as a secondary transfer. And so I'll be doing some of that. And then, of course, using my equipment, my microscope and things I have here in the lab, and see what we come up with to see if there's anything that might match some of their findings.
That's a good question, Chevy. Could it be glitter? Because there's around that size. Yeah, that's a good analogy as far as what an example is how small that is, 1 millimeter.
Glitter, as far as the composition of glitter versus paint, I think is two different things.
Oh, is it? I'm not a big.
I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that it is. Because a lot of glitter I thought was either some type of plastics or something of that. But it could be paint. I don't know.
I'm sure somebody in this chat knows. I'm not a big glitter person. Not sure. I mean, I'm sure we could look it up in a second and figure out the composition. Just looking at the chat. Anything blue in his car? Not that I see, but like I said, we don't know if it's foreign or not, but it is something that they noted. It'd be interesting. It's too bad we don't know exactly where on the clothing it was located. It'd be really interesting if it was in his hair or something, because then we would know for sure that was.
Well, law enforcement put enough interest in it that it was discovered and sent and analyzed and referenced in a report. And if they have they since been able to find what it was linked to? They may have. They just hadn't released that information. But like I said, it would be interesting to have the actual whatever type of analysis that was conducted on it.
Yeah, and I just want to let everybody know this is just an example. This is not the blue flaking. I was just trying to show, just in case anybody's confused. This is not. We don't know what the flakes look like, and I apologize for the mouses. I don't. It's only on StreamYard does this to me right now. I don't know why. Maybe I got to re-download it or something. That might fix it. So something that's interesting in these case notes that not a lot of people talk about as well. So he was actually dating. Now, we don't know if he was dating because I guess the guy considers him his boyfriend, but he was possibly dating or doing something else. But he was seeing another guy that was actually in his 40s. And if you do know who he is, please just use initials. We don't want to, drag anybody down right now. We don't know who is responsible, but this guy is interesting. They talk about him quite a bit in this, well, not quite a bit, but they do mention him.
Yeah, I've seen him mentioned. I've seen that he had an alibi, which of course I don't know, which is it's so early into it. And the investigators, when they talked to him, there was mentioning in the interview that he was one of the last ones to speak to him in the early morning hours.
Yeah. And I think Effie, I think this is who we're talking about right now. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, he sounds like it was that kind of intimate relationship with a 40-year-old. Now, what's interesting in the case notes, it talks about this guy a little bit, and the report that the law enforcement, I'm not sure if it was deputy that did this, he kind of noted that this guy's story was kind of inconsistent, and he should be followed up with another interview because he didn't have a consistent story, and he kind of seemed to cry wolf. Would you say that's fair to say?
Well, there was reports of that he reported being harassed and also receiving threats.
Yeah. Right. And then, there's always that possibility. It seems like, could he be injecting himself into the case, which is, sometimes a red flag, because that's something that, people that do these types of homicides, they, tend to inject themselves into the case so they can get information on, where the case is at, and, are they being looked into? And so just like, Alex, and how he'll show up and, be very vague. And then at the end, he wants to see, what the investigators have, like, what I'm talking about with the interviews. So same kind of thing. We don't know, but there's, and I don't want to speculate, but it's a possibility. But I don't know, and I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. But they do say it's his boyfriend, but it's possible. I said there's some stuff in the notes that definitely shine more light on other individuals than just the Murdaugh, which was really interesting in these case notes. And surprised not a lot of more channels talk about it, to be honest. So we've got one more other thing that we're gonna talk about here in a second. I'm gonna quickly reset everything, and I'm just gonna quickly plug my liquid IV real quick while I get my next page set up real quick. So bear with me. Mob Crew, how would you like to feel better about what you put into your body? This all-new product called Liquid IV is taking hydration to the next level. Liquid IV's Hydration Multiplier is a great tasting daily electrolyte drink mix that utilizes the breakthrough science of cellular transport technology to deliver hydration to your bloodstream faster and more efficiently than water alone. Just add the non-GMO electrolyte powder to your water and let CTT do the rest. It comes in tons of different flavors like strawberry, grape, lemon, lime, and much more. Just add the powder to water and get the hydration your body deserves. They have powder for energy, hydration, and even one to help you sleep better. If you'd like to learn more or purchase some, go to this link down in the description of this video. And if you use the code THEMOBCREW during your checkout, you can save up to 20% on your next order. Hydrate now with Liquid IV. Thank you. Okay, shout out to Liquid IV. We always have amazing deals going on. You can use my code, and sometimes you can get up to like 30% off. At the very least, 15, 20%. They're always having deals on. So, okay. So something that's been talked about, and then you make a great note on this. So Smith told a family member that he was dating a prominent figure, in the community. This person was going to take him to go boating, fishing. I think it was boating or fishing or both. Now, who is this prominent figure? And you make a great point. Prominent means famous or important person. And you made a great point. Is prominent, you usually think of an adult. You think of an older, not older, but, an adult figure.
Yeah. If you're talking about a younger child, you would, or a younger individual would say from a prominent family. But when you're talking about the describing a relationship that is with a prominent figure, then of course you're looking at someone that has some that's known throughout the community, and for whatever reason. I mean, there's so many people, you think in your community who are all the prominent people from all parts of life. You've got bankers, you've got politicians, you've got elected officials, you've got preachers, and he made a statement about that the community would be shocked. And so who could that be? And of course, Alex, during the trial, they tried to hit him up so many times. Would you consider your family prominent? And they hit upon that question time and time again. And of course, he denied it throughout the every time that was directed towards him. And it is an interesting trade of words that we find comes back into the this family investigation of his questioning during the Murdaugh trial, and now we find Smith is also saying prominent.
Right. And yeah, looking into the 40-year-old, I don't think he was a prominent figure, right? I haven't gotten a chance
not the individual that, from my understanding, that law enforcement interviewed.
So it sounds like, and I'm seeing a lot in the chat saying that he did do some escorting services. I haven't looked too deep into this case. You just kind of started on this case. But if that's true, then it's definitely not that hard to see that, people with money or prominent would, within escorts, people that have money, prominent, would be able to afford those kind of services. But what's interesting is when it comes to DV, and a lot of times, could it be a jealous ex? You've mentioned this.
Yes, that'd be some of the motivations or motives they'd be looking at, as what would motivate someone to commit a crime for this. And it could be anything from someone that has some type of fixation on him from a prior, or even the occasional stalker type of individual. There's a lot of possibilities when you look at certain individuals. And like I said, the victimology and what was his risk, and the risk factors that he faced in his life, and what additional risk did he put himself at. And if some of the advertising or some of the dating sites, he would be at a higher risk than someone that wasn't on some of those dating sites.
Right. And it's just too bad. You would think, and this, it was 2015, but still, I know towers have gotten better since then, but you would think he clearly must have called somebody but did he delete that, or obviously did they delete that? There must have been some maybe tampering with the phone, deleted messages. I mean, that's just speculation, of course, but yeah, let me pull this up. So, well, I'm getting this up. Anything else you want to touch on, Steve, that you might have brought up in your previous shows? It's you also, and I forgot to mention, with the car thing that you had mentioned that in your show a couple of nights ago about the with the wheel being turned and everything, that it was looks more like staging.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of things that, and like I said, I need to get over there to see what the grade is and see and try to perform that same maneuver, and also to see if why you would, you know, if it's downhill, that's one thing, that you have enough momentum that you may overshoot and come off the road and maybe turn it back to the left. But until I get there and run through some of those trials, I really won't know.
Right. Yeah, so here's just one more look at the car, and just for those that might have missed the first part, we talked about that the car with the wheel being, and we'll look at the wheel one last time, but the wheel was actually cranked pretty very well to the left. It's kind of hard to see in this picture, but the wheel is kind of turned out to the left. If he had ran out of gas, you talked about that steering wheel would lock up, and it wouldn't make sense for it to be cranked to the left unless he was doing a U-turn, or somebody put it there and basically turned it around and didn't realize that they left the steering wheel cranked. And I'm trying to pull up the road here. So this road is, I mean, yeah, you can kind of come off to the side, but so the car was facing this way, this direction, but it was parked kind of quite in there. And so it's possible that somebody came this way and turned around.
Yes.
Now, if we look at overview, let's see if you guys can see that. Let me drag this out. So just get an idea. So where my guy is right here, and so the car was facing this way, which, let's see. Oh yeah. So this is going to be facing the way to make it look like he was walking that way, because his body was found on this road here on Sandy Run, somewhere right here. I can't believe my mouse is doing it. I've got to after the show, I've got to talk to him, see what the heck is going on. But his body would be found where you got 5 mouses right here. So it looks like they could have turned his car around to make it look like he was going that direction. Is that what you think, Steve?
Absolutely. That is a possibility. And there's a lot of, on my show, I went into what are the possibilities of why the vehicle would be there. Was it something that, was he going to meet an individual there? Or was he waved down? Did he actually break down? And then of course it's a type of offender that took advantage of the situation. I mean, there's several different things that could have occurred, and we just don't know.
So this is where his body was found, which is kind of wild because it's not too far from a house right here. This is kind of what I noticed. If we look at the pictures here, so here is, I'm assuming this is kind of where he was found here. And if we look at, that's the car, that's his shoes. Into it. Oh, or did I get rid of it? No, that's the car. Oh, I might have saved over it. But it looks, I had a picture with them standing. Oh, here it is. Okay. So here's them with the cars, and you can see where the crime scene tape is taped up to this telephone telephone
Mhm.
pole here.
Uh-huh.
So the body, obviously, I'm assuming would be on the just on the other side of that. So now if we go look back on the road here, so here's that same pole, because we can see the cars, and we can actually, there's a picture that's taken where you can see the this little I want to call it a doghouse. I'm not sure what this is. It's this Google picture is really terrible.
Yep. But yeah, he's past that he's past that pole in that gentle curve to the right,
Yeah.
going that direction. And the curve coming back from the other direction is slight. It's nothing huge, but there is a
Yeah.
slight curve there.
Yeah. Yes, he was found right in the middle. And if we look at the this is how they positioned him here. And so some of the reasons, we already talked about it, but if you missed the first part, one of the major signs is, and you said usually you don't find a body in the middle of the road because they go, usually
Yeah.
if there's a person in the road, you get hit, you get knocked away.
Yes. And there's usually debris all across the road. And of course, we don't have that. And then we have to figure out why would he be placed in the middle of the road. And there's a couple of reasons why you would place someone in the middle of the road, and that you would have to consider. Is that the case? Don't know, but that would, that if you have committed a homicide that has some type of blunt force trauma, that people will place them in high traffic areas or some areas where they might incur a secondary type of accident where it would cover up your involvement. And so if he was placed there and they were hoping that he would get struck by a vehicle and cover up their involvement.
Interesting. Thank you, Glass Garden. That mouse issue I have seen on other creators' channels also. Okay, that makes me feel better. Yeah, this started maybe 2-3 weeks ago. And I'm always blaming YouTube because they just always have issues with their channel. And yeah, I've literally cleared out my computer, refreshed it and everything, and thought that would fix it. So I'm gonna have to get a hold of tech support because that's just annoying. And I appreciate you guys being so cool with it because I can't help it. And Debbie, thank you so much for your support. Someone in chat said Cousin Eddie had a blue truck back then. Interesting. I wonder if it was a Toyota. Yeah, Cousin Eddie, the one that supposedly shot Alex Murdaugh, but he says Alex, in his defense, I think he's like, if I was going to shoot somebody, he would have been shot. He would have been dead. And so he thinks Alex botched it or wimped out and did something. But interesting. I'll have to see if I can pull up any information on Eddie, or if anybody has any information, let me know. Like I said, we're not just focused on Murdaugh's. We're looking at all the evidence. We're really not trying to pinpoint a certain person. I know, obviously, the big name is Buster. It's been mentioned in the case notes, but there's also other people that are mentioned in the case notes as well. And like I said, that one, the 40-year-old that they were seeing, his story was inconsistent, and they felt like SLED needs to take a closer look at that individual as well. And when it comes to DV, I mean, when you kind of see homicides, usually you look inside out. I mean, lovers, family members, right? I mean,
Yes. I mean, almost all, a vast majority of homicides, is it's the people that commit those homicides, and you die at the hands of relatives, friends, acquaintances, former friends, acquaintances, and it's people that that at some point in your life that you cross paths with. Now, not all, but looking at this case, the remoteness, and we're not talking about a place where some type of serial offender would be able to obtain and stalking, although it's possible due to some of his lifestyles and if he was putting himself in certain high risk dating apps, which I don't know if he was or not, but
Yeah.
there's been references made to it. And once again, that's just part of the investigations, and all that stuff would be considered.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think I'm sure he would have called somebody right after, and maybe it was one of his, maybe clientele, I guess it would be the right word. And maybe something happened after that. Lover's quarrel, maybe. And then somebody covered up their tracks. And if they were prominent, and it's not the Murdaughs, but there, still could be other prominent people. And it would be hard to see, people that have money and can afford escorts. I would assume, that you would have a high probability of having some prominent people in that category. But it's interesting. I did see somebody say in the chat that maybe what they found was some kind of like digital evidence, like on Paul or Alex's phone or computer. I think I would tend to agree that maybe the evidence, some kind of communication about this case may not be like direct involved, but something to help them point them in the right direction, maybe.
Yeah, SLED made a couple of interesting comments to the attorneys, and I can't wait to see, and I hope that will be revealed soon in some type of either a search warrant affidavit or an arrest warrant affidavit, because now SLED has readdressed and looking at it as a homicide, and they will be attending the autopsy. And of course, now that it is, they will be the lead agency on this. It will no longer be the state patrol. SLED will be the lead agency. And that regardless of what is found by these private investigators and the private experts that are going to conduct the autopsy, the investigation won't be handled by them. It will be handled by SLED.
Right. And that might have been the big, problem. At first, they didn't have the resources, and it shouldn't have been their job. I mean, of course, it was labeled a hit and run, so maybe they didn't look too much further into it. But I can't remember if I fully asked you this. So we know that the body's going to be exhumed. What now? People are saying the toxicology was clear.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I mean, I guess wounds on the.
Yeah, of course, they're going to go back and absolutely check and x-ray everything to see if there are some type of fractures in his lower extremities, hips, ribs, and check every part that they can. And also analyze his skull and check for all the fractures. And if there is, as was mentioned in the reports, that there was something that confused the coroner or deputy coroner, that it was a gunshot wound, as far as there was something that penetrated the skull that appeared to be a gunshot wound, and also law enforcement officer that looked at it. But then when SLED agents came, they said no, it's not a gunshot wound, but they still classified it as a possibility because they said that at that time everybody was absolutely saying it is a gunshot wound. So they went ahead and processed. But once the pathologist looked at it, said, no, there's no projectiles. There's no evidence of a projectile. And therefore, it's a traffic accident because he's found in the road, which makes no sense.
Right.
And so that's what brought us to this. So there has to be some type of injury that is penetrating of the skull, that has characteristics that fooled at least a coroner and some law enforcement officers into a gunshot wound.
Interesting. That looks like a vape. Just first, I thought that was his wallet, but now I'm looking at that. Let me know what you guys
it's
think.
in the door. I've got some pictures of it. It's on the passenger side seat.
Oh,
right
the
edge
wallet's
of
on the
door.
other side. Okay.
Okay. Uh-huh.
This looks like a vape. One of those big ones. I do vape on occasion, but I'm not a big vapor. But this looks like a vape cartridge or whatever you call it. Let me know in the chat. That's what it looks like. It's just kind of missing the. Yeah, it kind of looks like the. This mouse thing. Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one that's dealing with this. This is annoying. They need to get this fixed. Interesting. But yeah, don't look like he would have had a passenger. I'm assuming they would have had this cleared out. Typical teenager car. Doesn't look, I mean, my car just about as dirty. It's actually not that dirty. But yeah, it kind of looks like a vape. Let me know what you think. Or cologne. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. That could be cologne. I think you're right. Yeah, without the cap on it. Yeah, yep. I would lean more towards cologne because there are vapes that look just like cologne containers. They're pretty darn close. If you guys know which ones I'm talking about, but yeah, I think now that you say that, that does look like cologne without the cap on it. Yeah, good eye on that one. Never had that. Somebody said something's on the dash. On the dash. What's on the dash? Let's look at the other one. Something on the dash. Let me know, Budgie Cord, what you see on the dash. Oh, can we see the fuel? Usually the car has to be started right, though.
Yeah, the key ignition needs to be on, and
yeah, I can see the F at the top right here. It's on the left side. I definitely don't see the needle, but yeah, usually you have to have it started. Oh, you can't even see it because I've got 20 mouse things over there. Gosh, what a joke. Yeah, so there's the F. But yeah, I must say, yeah, I guess it'd have to be started. But yeah, I just thought I would take a screenshot and just kind of look a little closer. It looks like he's got his MP3. But interesting. It's always love to have people in here. They always kind of point things out.
it looks like his phone charger is plugged in there. Is that to see the cord coming out just to right there?
Yeah, that's an audio jack. That's MP3, so
Okay.
he could play his music.
Okay.
Yeah, what is this? You're talking about this, huh? What is that? That's so weird. Some like garage door opener or something. Usually you'd have that up in your visor. Yeah, I can't make that out. Definitely doesn't look like it's something aftermarket. Voice recorder? I don't know. That's kind of weird. I don't know. Somebody in the chat might know. But overall, this definitely could possibly, I should say, it's speculation. It could be staged with the steering wheel turned. And so you're thinking about going out there. So let's talk about a little about that. You're thinking about going out. Well, one, you're thinking about doing some experiments with the paint chips and seeing.
Yes. And then also going over there, like I said, to see if it could have been pushed there, not meaning that, he could have been running out of gas and it's chugging along, and he happened to be fortunate enough to get to that area, which I've never been that fortunate. Every time I've broke down, it's never been in a wide spot in the road. It's where you, there's ditches on both sides and you are, in great fear of your life. But if he was fortunate enough and it was just cutting out and he pulled over there, it's still odd that he would pull that far.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Maybe car insurance thing. Yeah, I have a little device, not like that, but looks like an old school radar detector in a dash. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But yeah, if you guys would like to see that, definitely hit the like button. And we appreciate all the new members and any donations. I hope I didn't miss any. Really helps this channel out. And like I said, we've got Texas coming up, got pushed back a little bit. It's not on our end. It's just on the property owner, but we're hoping we'll get out there beginning of May. And then we're looking at some alternate plan Bs.
Yes.
And hopefully winter will move on. It's here in Utah. It's still snowing. It looks like it's going to be 6 months of summer and 6 months of winter, is what it seems like it's been here in Utah. Anyway, I don't know about, and everybody else is kind of different, but it's been relentless. I don't think we're going to have a spring here, although we need the precipitation, the water. Oh, Bungie's saying not that. Oh, not that. Sorry, Bungie. Yeah, where the words are. I'm assuming you're talking about the words right here. Where the words are. Or are you talking about my logo on the dash? Where the words are. I'm not sure which. I mean, when I'm thinking words, thinking this. Sorry, Bungie. Missed that.
Yeah, there's something up in the right-hand corner there. Is that your logo or is that?
Yeah, I've got my logo here. Oh, and then, yeah, this is just from something. This isn't anything.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, some people are saying insurance company. Interesting. So, so let's recap everything. Oh, you found it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there is a lag between us and everybody. So we'll go back to the paint chips. Okay, just one last time. So they found 10 paint chips, could be foreign. You're going to do some tests on that. Some
I'm going to see what I
experiments.
can break. I'm going to break as much things as I can and see what type of flaking I can get and what type of transfers that could occur from clothing coming in contact with them. And we'll see.
Yeah. And then you might drive out there and attempt to see if you can kind of recreate this.
I want to find what the angle of that road is as far as is it uphill, downhill, which direction, and get some measurements of the roadway there. And it's one thing, and that's how come it's so important to get there on location, because you can't tell a lot from some of these photographs, and also Google Earth still won't put you there. But when you're standing in that location and doing the measurements and seeing the angles, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, if he left his wellness car, I think it was a private party and car was placed in staging area, in my honest opinion. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And then, as I said, Steve pointing out the steering wheel, and yeah, it's typically with somebody, if it was ran out of gas, it would make sense. He's pulled off so far over that it almost looks like somebody purposely did a U-turn, which totally makes sense because it's just so far off. And then why would the wheel be cranked, pretty hard to the left? And then, of course, this just doesn't make sense. I mean, it only makes sense if you'd gotten the gas. That
Like
clearly.
I said, there's reasons that a lot of gas caps I've seen off generally lead to another crime versus siphoning. It's a lot of arsons have been started due to those gas cap removals.
The way the car is parked, where it looks like it could have been parked to meet someone, that is true. It is. It's good. It is quite parked off to the side there. And if we look, let's see. I don't think there was. So with the house. Oh, did I? I didn't close it. No, I did. Okay. Let me go back to where the car was found. So this is where his body was found. And although it's 3 miles, it's not that far. So you can see this V here. So this where the man is standing. That's kind of where they found his body. His car is almost, it's like if you had a V, it's almost right at the tips of the V, which is kind of interesting. And so we jump back over here on Bamberg. And then is it down this way a little bit? Or did I go too far, Steve?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, once you turn around.
I think I went.
Yeah. In the steering wheel position, I saw where people said it looks like it's turned to the right, and it would be hard to tell which way it's turned just by looking at the steering wheel. And that's why you would have to look at the tire itself and see. There's some pictures out there. It shows that it's towed to the left, and without that supporting evidence, just from the steering wheel, I wouldn't be able to tell which way it was turned. But when I looked at the wheels, I saw that it was towed left, as in a left-hand turn. That's what I'm basing it on, not the
Yeah.
steering wheel position, but just where the wheels, how they're towed out.
I'm having trouble finding where that. Oh, did I find it? Must have been further down.
What are you looking for on this one?
Oh, where the car was at. I swear it was just right. Oh. No.
No.
Oh, I lost it. Anyway, I had it. A second here. Boop. Boop. There we go. I knew I had it. Where is this thing again? Where is that? Oh, yeah, it is on the V. It's just a little bit further up past the turn. I'm like, I know it's there. Okay. So yeah, this is the spot. So yeah, if you're driving this way, let me just back up a little bit. So if you were just driving on the right side, you would think you would almost just pull right, like
Exactly.
you could just right on this cement platform, this little extra concrete here.
Yeah.
But he's well past.
Yeah. Which, like I said, I would never have the good fortune to have a place like that to pull off if I broke down. Which unfortunately it did turn into be a tragedy.
Can you show how far Stephen Smith is from the Murdaughs?
It's about 7.5, 8 miles. It's a 2 or 3 turns.
So where it says Maggie's cell phone is the property. Then we just put in Bamberg Highway, Hampton, South Carolina. Search. So pull that up. Oh, there it was too. So there's Maggie's Sill, and this isn't the exact area. I think it's further up, but it's off this. Is it off this? Yeah, this is Bamberg. So it's up here a ways, which is, I think, somewhere in this area here. Oh, it's right here, just before Crocketville. So I think it's right here where the car, and then the body was found on this road here. I think this is Sandy Run. If this is Sandy Run right here, looks like it is, because you got the V. And then so yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I pulled it up. I think it was like a 17-minute drive from between the two residences.
Yeah, so just a little over 5 miles.
Yeah, but that's as a crow fly. But to get there, you have to go.
Yeah,
make a left and then make a right and then make another left. It's almost like a inverted M or an M.
Yeah, because the roads are yeah. So yeah, for those that just tuned in and missed the very first part, for upcoming show, I might be this week. Had Aiden Clune's mother reach out to me, and so because they're going to be searching for his possible remains. We don't know his condition. There's still possibility he could be alive and ran off somewhere. But they are looking for him up in Wales, Nevada, sometime in the beginning of May. Unfortunately, it might be bad timing, and I might be down in Texas. But if not, I may go join the search as well. Either way, we're going to have Aiden Clune's mother on either this week or next week. I've got to get with her after the show and figure out a good time for her. So we'll have her on and be happy to tell his story, because he's somebody that went missing last year, and definitely needs the, family needs closure. I know there's so many cases, we can only help so many people, but that's somebody that's close to here. And like I said, she just reached out, and of course I definitely want to promote whatever their search efforts are going to be. So that's what's upcoming. And for those that may be new to Steve, I have the link to his channel at the very top of this chat, and I have it in most of my videos in the description as well. If you're new to my channel or his, please show him some love and go and subscribe to his channel. We'll be working together, obviously, not in just collaborating, but we're actually going to go out and help some cold cases. And like I said, all your guys' support means the world. Let me get this. And of course, thank you, mods. You guys have been so amazing. And thank you, Lisa Clocks, for the super sticker. That helps so much. All the donations, like I said, we put this stuff towards our equipment and what we do in the near future. So thank you so much, Lisa. That means the world. You were so awesome. So love this channel. That is so kind. So any final thoughts, Steve?
Oh no, I look forward for us as we work together and move forward, and hopefully everything will have a great impact on as we try to help these families, and that's what we have to do. And I appreciate you assisting me. It has taken a lot of the pressures off of me, that I can focus on some of my plans of actions I've got with these families I'm working with. And I appreciate your help, and we'll have a great year, I hope.
Oh yeah. And like I said, we're looking at some secondary options. Like I said, include if no matter what, if Texas, if it doesn't
Right
line
now,
up at the
everything
same
looks
time.
good on Texas. I haven't heard anything. I'm going to be contacting them probably next
Okay.
week, and that will be a 30-day notice for them. And hopefully we won't have any conflicts. And I don't anticipate any, because they, they had some conflicts before, but this one here, we'll know probably in about 10 days.
This is that's a great comment. You realize Stephen anyone could have two phones or more, especially like burner phones, and have one phone for the clients and stuff, kind of keep away from the families. That's a great comment, Morgan. Great comment.
Yeah.
I wonder if anybody's asked the mother or the sister if they knew if he had two phones.
Yeah, they have two. I have three. So I'm one of those people that has way more phones than I need. But yes, I have three phones.
Yeah. No, that's a great comment.
It is.
Yeah, and that could make sense of why, they had his phone. Obviously, they had to take in his cell records. Yeah, it could be kind of a area where it's not, the signals are great. Maybe there's some dark areas that they couldn't figure out what was going on. But yeah, you would think they would be able to get the call logs and know who's the last people he spoke to. But yeah, if you had a burner phone or a secondary phone and they got rid of that, whoever was involved, that's a great point. So good to see you, Pammy. And history. Oh, I want to get history's question. Yeah. So one of the things, the Murdaughs did show up right after with the Stephen. Let me get him off here. One of the reasons they showed up, there could be multiple reasons, ulterior reasons, but because now I don't think they're ambulance chasing lawyers because they're pretty high up, but they may have gotten word that there was a hit and run, and obviously they're lawyers and they were calling to represent Stephen Smith's mother, because there have been obviously more other motives. Can you see
ulterior motives?
Yeah.
Now, as far as Alex is concerned, I would absolutely put that he would not only chase an ambulance, he would rob it. Because he has that history of helping families in lawsuits and then misappropriating the funds. So as far as Alex involved, if he was getting involved in it, absolutely, it was for nefarious reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Josh,
Yeah. Josh, 3 phones, Steve. That's suspicious. My mom would say, laugh out loud. Yeah. I can't stand the single one I got. I have Metro PCS. I loved Metro when I was in Ohio. I don't know, here in Utah, I don't know if it's just the phone I have or what, but man, ever since I got to Utah, I can't stand, and I hate to talk bad about Metro. It's basically T-Mobile, but man, I'm just getting bad phones, or the service just isn't good here. So I'm going to be switching. So, all right. Well, Steve, thank you so much, Josh, for the support. You are awesome. And everybody, please hit that like button before you go. We'll be back Wednesday for a live show. I just want to also mention, yes, I missed the last 2 Fridays live shows. I've had some health issues, nothing to be concerned about. Had to go to the ER to be checked out. Everything is fine. Just had some stomach issues, and it's weird because it came up twice the last 2 weeks towards the weekend. Like Thursday it started coming on, and Friday, and I was in so much pain that I had to go because I thought I had my appendix was gonna burst or something. It was lower right hand side. So anyway, I got checked out, scanned, everything. Everything looks fine. I guess I need to watch my diet. I guess when you get a little older, you have to kind of treat your body well. So thank you, History. Thank you guys so much for supporting and just being here. Steve, amazing job, buddy.
Thank you.
Final word.
No, I just like I said, I appreciate you having me here, and I enjoy our time. And you have a great community, and I appreciate them and appreciate you.
Thank you, buddy. I'll put you backstage. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I feel better. I don't know. It's just weird. It happened the last 2 weekends last 2 Thursdays. I just got this pain in my stomach, and then it was so bad, and I was like, I got to go to the ER. And anyway, they've ran tests, everything. They have ran everything, and so I have to go see like a gastrologist or something. It's just something to do with diet. So nothing major. Just got to watch what to eat, I guess. So. Anyways, I wish I could get to everybody's comment. If you're rewatching this, please put the comments. I do try to respond to them. I'm going to get a pet outro ready here, and we'll be asking for some new pet outros. Also, D-Dez, if you're still in here, I will be offering out some window breakers probably on Wednesday's show. I wanted to do it last Wednesday, but I just didn't get a chance to. So we will be handing those out. So thank you, guys. You guys are so awesome. Seeing all the support. Maybe you have allergic to Fridays. Yeah, it's weird. But I think we figured it out. So I'm just going to get a pet outro ready. And then we'll be back on here Wednesday. And then as usual, also I do have a new Patreon page. And thank you to the recent Patreon supporters. And Bonnie, I will look into your shipment. You're the first person, knock on wood, and hopefully the last that hasn't received their shipping. I cleaned my computer, so now all my files are missing. Okay, here we go. All right, guys. Have a good night. We'll see you in a couple days. Love you guys.